Thank you all. Thank you so much for letting me join you this morning. As she said, I'm Latosha Fowlkes, the Executive Director at St. Vincent. So I joined the organization just last year in June of 2020. And I tell people in hindsight, I'm kind of like, who takes on running a nonprofit during the middle of a pandemic, right? But I think this is a great opportunity for me to talk with you all about kind of a little bit of history, where we are now, and where we're going as an organization, and how we can all partner together really for the greater good of our community, right? So one of the things, I moved here in 2010 after working in the mental health field with individuals who had profound needs. And I learned about St. Vincent and all of the services that they offered, and I joined the board for a period of time, and then was asked to come on as the executive director after I was doing some consulting work in the community. So one of the things that drew me into the organization and why I felt like there was a perfect connection is because many of you may already know that St. Vincent was founded in the 1850s during a cholera pandemic and a city fire that left children without parents and a safe place to be. So I imagined in my mind that during this time in 2020, that there was a group of individuals sitting around the table thinking about how to best serve their community. And I was so excited to be kind of back at that place with a group of individuals who were truly invested in making a change in what's happening in our surroundings. So we go from this time of being an orphanage, and then we transitioned. You all may know we were a school at one point in time. And then we became a residential treatment facility, which is still a great need in our community. So if you think about families and parents and some of the things that you hear in the news, when you have a child who is struggling with mental health, and as a parent, you kind of don't know what direction to go in. You've tried everything, limited resources sometimes. St. Vincent has been that organization that focuses on providing those kind of resources to our community free of charge. But that's not really where we stopped at. So most recently, I was in the office. Honestly, this was just 2 weeks ago. And the situation is kind of what reminded me of why our agency exists and why we need to continue to be an agile organization. So our doorbell rang, and a young man came to the door with a family member. And as soon as he walked in our door, she left. She didn't turn around. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't tell him why he was there. All we knew is that his parents were gone, that they had both passed, that he was 10 years old, that he experienced a whole lot of trauma, and that he now needed a safe place to be. Okay. And when we spoke with the child, he asked us for things that no child should ever have to ask for. Okay. He asked us, he said, please don't sell me. He said, I promise I won't eat your food. And if you need me to, if I can just stay here, I promise you, I'll clean the floors. I'll clean up. I'll do all of these things. Things that no child should ever have to come to our door to ask for. And I think, as we process this as an agency, a part of you can be frustrated that an adult just left him like that. But the truth is that that's what we're here for. We're so glad that she sought out an organization and brought him to us rather than to leave him somewhere unsafe and uncared for. The needs of our kids are constantly changing. And because of that, we have to be an organization that continuously changes. So today, we're many things. We're an emergency shelter program for youth. An individual can bring a child to us, youngest age 8, all the way up to their 19th birthday. Okay? A child can self-refer themselves. That means that they can walk into our doors, They can say, I have a need, I'm hungry, I don't have a place to be. They can say any of those things, and we're going to open up our doors and make sure that we get them connected to the resources that they deserve. Children's Division connects with us all the time because they too need resources and places for the kids to go after they get involved in a family. We are not only serving children locally, but we are now federally funded. So we serve children from across the state. That's just in our emergency shelter program. Some of our kids who hit 16 and 17-year-old age are not returning home. They don't have a family to return to. They're going to, at this point in time, be on their own. We needed to provide a resource that allowed them to grow with us. So we now have our transitional living program. And that program provides a longer length of stay. It focuses on helping them complete their education, on gaining job skills, on budgeting, life skills, all the things that we need to be successful. And it allows them to stay there for a longer period of time as they do that. This year, and honestly, thanks to the generosity of some of our donors, our community, we're working now on expanding that program, and we'll be expanding that by 25%. We have apartments that are being rehabbed right now that's in the back of our facility that will provide like at least 5 additional housing opportunities for teenagers who will be living semi-independently, but connected to us because we provide 24-hour care. And they're there. Our staff are there 7 days a week, every day of the year, and all of this is free of charge for all of our youth. Another thing that we've kind of learned throughout the pandemic is that, you know, some people will say, we roll past St. Vincent, we see the building, we just don't know what you guys do. What's happening in there? So we've decided to establish an outreach program. And this is really important to us because I truly believe that we can't sit back in a building and wait for people to just come find us. So we've established an outreach team. You'll see our outreach van riding around in the community, providing other resources, food, basic needs to individuals, but it's because we want to go out in the community and meet our children where they are. So you'll see us at the malls, you'll see us at the basketball courts, you'll see us at the schools, you'll see us providing all of these services with our nurse, our case managers, our therapists, and counselors who are going out in the community to make sure that we're meeting the needs of individuals right where they are. We have a home and community-based program, and we now have opened up a drop-in center. Many of you may know Epworth is a drop-in center as well. And we partner with Epworth in many ways. Their drop-in center closes at 5, and we've extended ours till 7 p.m. The most critical time for most parents is that time between when their kids get out of school and when they get off work, and making sure that kids have a safe place to just come, get tutoring, classes, and all the resources that they need is really important, and our responsibility as we partner together to take care of our youth. You know, I think one of the things that I want to leave you all with is you all know that this past year, the world has really been turned around by the COVID pandemic. And what I need everyone to know is that our schools were our gatekeeper system, okay? It was where kids went to every single day, 5 days out of the week. It's where they were fed. It was where someone could lay eyes on them every day, where you could see if they're doing well, if they had a change of clothes, if they looked like they were being abused, if they looked safe. Well, our gatekeeper system has been compromised. So as an organization, as a member of our community, as a churches, I think there's an increased responsibility for us to know that we are now that gatekeeper system, and that we need each and every one of you to be a part of that and making sure that we are connecting with our youth more, speaking to them more, asking them how they're doing, building relationships, because they don't have that consistent path that they typically have. And that now that schools are getting back in place, I want you to know that a lot of kids have been lost. Okay, there was a lot of kids who have not returned back to school this year. And so I want you all to use St. Vincent as a resource. We're there 24 hours a day. I'm be honest with you, in the middle of the night, you can send somebody to knock on our door, ring our doorbell, and they're going to get an answer. You can call our number 24 hours a day and they're going to get an answer. And so I ask that you all join me kind of in being the eyes of our community, to be the faces of our community, and make sure that we're partnering together to be a part of our resources for our kids around. You know, the future of our organization looks bright. We spend a lot of time thinking about how we're going to transform and continue to meet the needs of our youth and our families, because I can't just serve children. We focus on improving the lives of our children, our families, and our community. And so while we're not in a place yet to talk about it, we've invested in working with a consultant to make sure that we're doing our part to know what's happening in the community. And I'm super excited that in the next year, we'll have an even bigger path on how we can be a part of what we should be in the community, and opening up our doors more so that families can walk in, not just children, but parents, aunts, grandmothers who are raising grandchildren, all of the above. And so I just want to say thank you all for being there with us, many of you, some of them 20, 50 years ago, right? And continuing to have an investment and an interest in what we're doing for the community now. Does anyone have any questions for me? So the question was, do we have any affiliation with the Catholic churches, or have we in the past? And the answer to that is yes, we have. If you haven't had a chance to come and take the tour, all you have to do is call me, because I love to give a tour. We have a beautiful chapel in our facility. And the requirement for us now has shifted a little bit, is that we have to offer a wide range of religious opportunities to our youth. And so there is not just one denomination that you will find in our facility, but we have to offer it to whatever denomination our children affiliate themselves with to come into the building. But come by for a tour. I would love to show you all the chapel. So you do not have to make an appointment to come in and worship. Every year we do a Christmas Mass. It's usually Christmas Eve. And we will be making an announcement of the exact date and time of that. No appointment necessary. We will be, we do that every year. We didn't do it last year. Actually, we did it virtually last year because of COVID. And we hope to be able to gather people in a group this time. And so we'll get the word out to you and make sure that you all know when Christmas Mass is available. So our facility sits on 22 acres of land. And it has, we always laugh because the kids call it their mansion. We have a huge gymnasium. We have a music studio. We have a weightlifting center. We have a game room. We have a library. Yes, we have classrooms in the building. We have a soccer field, a track in the back. And soon to come will be a garden, as our kids are very, very interested in doing some planting work. And so we'll be re-engaging in that as well. So beautiful, beautiful property, lots of history and a lot to see. So if you come, wear really comfortable shoes. Okay. The question is, where do our children go to school? So the answer to that is all over. One of the things that we love to do is when kids come into our care, just imagine that you're coming into an environment and you're going to go stay in a room with people who you don't know, right? We just brought you in. There's a whole lot of things that are unfamiliar to you on your very first day. And it's our responsibility to try to keep as many things as possible familiar to our youth. And one of those things is school. So we have a great partnership with our school community who are required to make sure that our kids have access to the same school. We don't want them to lose all of their friends. Don't want them to lose every relationship that they've built over the past couple of years. So the schools partner with us to make sure that transportation is available to pick the kids up for school. And if we can't coordinate that transportation, then it's our responsibility to make sure that they get there. But there is not necessarily one school district, not necessarily one school, but if they cannot get into that school or they haven't been enrolled in school, then we'll take it from there and probably get them enrolled in the Normandy School District. So at maximum, we can have 40 kids in the building. And once the apartments are together, we'll be expanding that. We typically have around 52 total staff. And again, we have 4 housing units. And just so you all know, there's 4 units. Each of them can take around 10 kids in each unit and up to 6 kids. So every 6 kids, we have to have one employee. So our staff are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that includes our cooks, our management team, our frontline employees who really are hands-on with the kids and just making sure that they have everything that they need on a regular basis. So how is it financed? Lots of ways. So one of our funders is Children's Services Fund through the county. So all the taxes that you all pay, we appreciate it because they divide that into the care of our youth, which is something that they have always promised to do. I want you to know that it happens. And they are one of our largest funders. Children's Division also helps fund their stays of their youth. We have federal funding that has also stepped in to make sure that we can care for our kids. United Way, thank you to United Way for all of the resources, the tools. They, brand themselves around being a safety net, and they really are. And then the rest of it comes from really people like you, our donors, people who donate their time, their financial resources, who bring in the towels, the hygiene products, all of those things that we need to take care of our kids on a daily basis. One of the things we tell them is when they come in, we're going to make sure that they have their basic needs met. So that includes hygiene products, clothing, all of those things, food, all of those things. And so that's really how we kind of keep all of this operating. So, of course, our greatest needs, really vary. I say number one is just keep in mind that we just talked about a lot about being a gatekeeper system, right? Is that just knowing what resources are available in your community and being a voice around it, because sometimes people just don't know what's available to them. So to me, that's the number one priority. Number 2 is volunteerism, giving of your time, your skills, just being willing to come in and spend time with the kids or help us redo. We just talked about our library. There's so many opportunities for each of you to give back with just your time. It's huge. People give donations, financial resources are always helpful. And then we also, the kids need things. And so hygiene products really remains high on our list. We go through them like crazy. I can't even tell you, our girls and boys are super funny and do a lot of moving. They're out riding bikes right now this morning. And so we always need hygiene products. And that is, lotion, body wash, shampoo, conditioner, women's products, those sorts of things are some of our major needs that we have to stay on top of. When our kids come in, we want to provide them with basic needs. And when they leave, we want to provide them with basic needs. So we want to send them home with care packages, with towels, with those sorts of things are really high on our list for what our kids are in need of. So, we recently, as I joined the organization, just walked around and did an inventory of what we have at the facility, and we found bikes. We found tons of bikes. And, I always speak with the employees that the things that come into every part of that building belongs to our youth. Everything that comes in that door belongs to them. And so it's really important to me that when the kids leave, not only are they riding bikes this morning, but we want to provide them with bikes when they leave. So I think we're set right now on bikes. But as the year goes and as Christmas passes, I anticipate that we'll see more bikes going out the door and that we'll need them to come back in. And so we partner with tons of people to rebuild bikes and make sure we have them accessible, but we want to make sure that we send them home. And sometimes it's not just our kids, it's like their siblings too. We can't just send one kid home with a bike. If they have brothers and sisters, we need to make sure that they have them as well. Varies. Length of stay can be anywhere from 21 days up to 90 days. And our transitional living program, we're working on expanding that one. The new one that you guys will hear will go up to probably 18 months. Yes. So multiple things that we can do there. One of them is that we have our home, school, and community-based programs. So we can send case managers, counselors to work with families in a home environment. You know, over the past years, one of the things that we've really learned is that, you know, kids don't necessarily deserve to be raised in facilities. Okay. Now, we're happy to be in existence, and we're happy to be there when we need it. But really, we want our youth to be raised in a family-like environment. And so we have to do our part to not only make sure that our facility is available, but to also make sure that we're going into the homes so that they don't have to come into facilities. Our goal is to make sure that we keep families together and not necessarily remove members of the family if we don't have to. So counselors, case management can go to the home and start working with children who are struggling with certain maybe behavioral challenges, mental health challenges, and those sorts of things. And we do this all from a trauma-informed lens. That's super important to us, that we recognize that our children are experiencing trauma. The other piece of it is that we are now federally funded specifically to work with runaway youth. Runaway and homeless youth, okay? That means that they'll come into our door, they can self-refer, and by all means, we don't just let kids run away and come to our care and not communicate with their families, okay? Our first responsibility is to call the parents and let them know that they're there. Ask them if they would like them to stay with us for a short period of time where we work on some of these challenges. So we do a thorough assessment when they come into our care, and that includes a medical assessment. We've recently added nurses to our care, to our facility, make sure we're doing COVID testing, making sure that they have access to examinations and everything that they should need to be medically provided for. But then they're connected with a therapist for intensive counseling services. And that includes family counseling and group counseling and all of those sorts of resources that we need to be able to do our best. While we provide that 30, 90 to 18-day stay, we want to return children to their home-like environment as quickly as we can, without rushing the process, without making sure that everybody remains safe. But those are the kind of resources that we have. So the question was, what will the child who we spoke about earlier, what will happen for him? So, immediately what we did for him is we called his family, as many of them as we could, and we called Children's Division because we need to make sure that there's someone on the outside who's going in and connecting with the families to see what we can do for them. I'm gonna be honest with you, I was really surprised just last week because I came in and he's still in our care. And that's okay. But what it told me is that he doesn't necessarily have a connection to go to. And so our partnership with Children's Division is going to be really instrumental here. This is where they step in and help making sure that we connect him to a family-like environment. He's enrolled in school. To be honest with you, he was devastated the first days, a cry that I never want to hear again. But I saw him just Friday, and he was smiling. He had everything that he needed. He consistently tells us he feels safe. And until we find that connecting resource, whatever, it may take longer than our normal time, but he'll be with us until we get him into a safe home-like environment. And that's our responsibility that we take on and take very seriously. So many ways, how do they find us? Social media, which is funny for me because I am the least social media savvy person in the world, but our kids are connecting via social media. They're connecting through word of mouth. This is where our street outreach program is really instrumental, is that we're making sure we're coming out of the building and going where they are. Children's Division is connecting them. Churches are connecting them. You guys will see a billboard from us going up on Highway 170. Highway 70, you'll see probably 3 to 4 billboards going up as well. But really, all they have to do, there's referral forms online. They can go to our website at www.stvincenthome.org and fill out referral forms. We can go pick up. We can do all of those sorts of things. So there's tons of pathways. We send out the text messages. We do all of those things. And honestly, they just walk up to our door, just want to know what we do. And that has worked out for them many times as well. So I am a huge fan of Epworth. There is nothing about what we do in our system of care that doesn't require a partnership. So we partner with Epworth, with Great Circle, with Youth in Need, with all the organizations that provide this continuum of care. Because if we don't have a bed available, we want to reach out to them and make sure that they have a bed available. They provide classes that we take our kids to, and we provide classes that they bring their kids to. We are a system of care. And through all the organizations that exist, we should be able to meet the needs of that youth and their family in some way or another. We can't do it all. But what's important is that we make sure that we're making sure that all of the gaps are filled in. Do we take care of the LGBTQ community? Yes, we do. So not only do we make sure that our programs and services are inclusive, but we also need to make sure that we position ourselves well to be around where kids who identify as LGBTQ are. We have counseling centered around that services. We have groups centered around that services, family counseling centered around those services. You will see us at Pride. You'll see just a couple, I think it was Pride Month. So you will see us participating in those sorts of things and connecting again with all those partner organizations to make sure that we're addressing the safety, right? If there's a safety risk there, not only just about housing, but also with being attacked physically, with being bullied. There's a different kind of trauma sometimes that come through youth who identify with LGBTQ population. And so making sure that our staff are trained and that we have a connecting resource for them within our facility and on our board is really important to us so that we can make sure that we are transforming our services to be inclusive. Well, thank you all for your time. I hope to see some of you soon.